My friend Dorothea rang me from the Phaeton Club. You think you could shoot by there and help her out?
Sure, Nigel, I suppose so. What's up?
Dunno. She blathered something about Frankenstein. You know, the big ugly bloke with the boats in his neck? She was all worked up about it.
Frankenstein? You mean that guy who looks like Herman Munster? How could anyone get in a panic about him?
I can't say, but I'd be most appreciative if you would dash off to the Phaeton Club and find out.
Sure thing, Nigel. Come on, let's go.
Thanks so much for coming. You two just seemed so bright, and I just had to know. If it was true and I didn't buy it, I'd never forgive myself.
Whoa, Dorothea. Take a deep breath or two. Then slowly tell us what the heck you're talking about.
Sorry. You see, they're selling off these old books, and there's a book here I think may be an original. The original Frankenstein.
When you say Frankenstein, I always think of the monster in the movies. I always forget he came from a book.
I have to figure out if I should buy this book. It costs £10, which is all the money I have. But if you think it's really authentic, I'll spend it all.
Wow, £10. That's like $15. That's a lot of money for an old book, Dorothea. Maybe we should take a look at it first.
Would you? That would be so ace. Maybe you could talk to the other kids and see if they think it's real or what.
After that, we can hop over to the British Library.
Great idea. The British Museum's library is the only place nearby where you can find out if the book is authentic, without hours and hours of research, that is.
That's it. Come on, let's check it out. I'm flipping through the pages. It does seem to be the story of Frankenstein, where a guy makes a monster come to life. But it's not really like the movie at all. I don't know if this book is real or some old fake. When we're done here, we can find out the truth at the British Library.
Hey, you're Jennifer Eagle, right? Which book do you think I should get? I can't decide between this one about Africa or this one about cricket.
Well, I'm not too hot on cricket, Griff. When I go to the games, I still can't really figure out what's going on. What's the one about Africa like?
It's written by this explorer about 100 years ago, I guess, and he talks about wandering in the jungle and meeting the kings of African tribes.
Sounds pretty cool, Griff. Did you see that book about Frankenstein?
Yeah, it seems cool, but Dorothea's got dibs on that one. Actually, I think I'll get this book over here. It's all about Roger Bannister, the guy who ran the first 4-minute mile. I'm a runner myself, you see. Got a pretty decent stride, too. My mom says it's because I've got such great big feet.
Wow, no offense, Griff, but you really do have big feet, even for a guy.
All the better to run with, mate. Now, if I move my big feet quick enough, I'll be able to make it to the Oval Cricket Ground in time for the match.
Hey guys, see anything you like at the book sale?
Huh, not terribly likely. Dreary terms, every one of them.
Musty and dusty. Worse than my mum's.
Drivel.
Diabolical.
Appalling.
Poppycock.
Shall we off to the match then?
Righto. As soon as I finish looking over this grimy old copy of Treasure Island. Pirates. Can't get enough of them.
Brill. That'll give me a chance to polish off this old Ian Fleming. That James Bond always has me gobsmacked. 007 rules.
Kelly and Rebecca are both tennis champions, remember? I think Kelly's the one Jake's so stuck on. Let's see what they're talking about.
It's a lovely book, but not what I choose to spend my readies on. Let's go shopping at Covent Garden.
A brill idea, Kelly. Except that I've got to dash. Errands to run, you know.
Come on, Bex. I know your mum just gave you loads of dosh for new tennis shoes. The ones you're wearing today are quite worn through. I need some as well. All that running about while playing tennis wears them out so quickly.
Sorry, Kel. I've really got to fly. My dad asked me to help him out at his shop on Quaint Street today. Maybe later, okay? Oh, Jennifer, good to see you. I was just on my way out. Listen to this. It was a dark and stormy night. and the rain which had been seemingly falling for hours on end had turned the avenue to one long, dark, damp and dismal bog. Have you ever read such rubbish?
That one takes the biscuit. It's no wonder some of these books have been lost for 100 years. Some of them need to be lost for another 100.
Have you two found any books that are any good?
Oh, there's one here filled with little poems about motor cars. I think my brother would just love it, but that's about all.
I think I may buy one or two of the ones written by women.
How about that Frankenstein one?
I looked at it, but I can't find the author's name anywhere. I think that's peculiar. Anyway, Dorothea seems to have claimed it. It's in her pile of books to buy.
The Phaeton Club found this locker full of dusty old books, see? And they thought they'd sell them to the young people in the area. They want to get the kiddos to read. That's the deal. They asked me if I'd host the sale. I says, sure. All the money goes to charity, you know, to programs that help teach people how to read.
I wish they'd give adults a shot at these books. There's a really fine little volume of Victorian poems I'd love to have.
Well, you'll have to wait your turn, officer. After all, the law is the law. Today, only kids buy these books, and these kids are the first to arrive.
Hey Gordon, found any books you like?
Huh? What? Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading. I'm still looking at the first book I picked up. I don't know about any of the others. I think I shall buy this book. It's all about the castles of Spain. Quite fascinating, really, how they differ from English castles.
Did you happen to get a look at that old copy of Frankenstein? That's supposed to be a pretty good story.
That one did look fairly popular. Dorothea got a death grip on it the first time she saw it, and I noticed Rebecca and Griff eyeing it over her shoulder, too. I suspect Rebecca wanted to see if it would be better than the movie. Odd, isn't it, how a book can sometimes be so much better than a movie based on it? And Griff's always got his eye out for really ancient-looking books. He fancies he might one day find a rare, old edition that's worth a fortune.
One thing I don't like so much about London is the rain. That little shower on the way over here nearly drenched me. Thank heavens for brollies. Well, I hope Mr. Sneed is in a good mood today. His help in a fact search can make all the difference. Hey! Excuse us, Mr. Sneed. We need to do some research about Frankenstein.
Well, luckily for you, I have already pulled out all the books about Mary Shelley, and the young lady who requested them has just left. Here they are.
That's a lucky coincidence. Mary Shelley? Is she the one who wrote Frankenstein?
Yes, yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must be about my business.
Prometheus. What does that name mean? Let's look it up in the dictionary. Here it is. It's the name of a guy from the old Greek myths. He's the one who stole fire from the gods and brought it down for humans to use. How can we find out more about Prometheus? Let's check out the books in the reference section and see what we find. Which book would be able to tell us more about the Greek legend of Prometheus? Good choice. The story of Prometheus is a myth, which means he never really existed. So we'd never find him in a history book, but only in a book about myths. According to the myth, he is the one who started human civilization, but the gods were angry that he gave humans the power of fire and punished him. That's why Frankenstein is the modern Prometheus. Like Prometheus, he brought a powerful new knowledge into the world, and like Prometheus, he was punished for doing it. Sure enough, all these books say Mary Shelley began to write the classic Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, in 1816. She was only 19 years old at the time. Here, listen to how she says she wrote the story.
I was staying in Italy with my husband and some friends. To entertain ourselves, after dinner we would tell each other horror stories, but I couldn't think of any good ones. Until one night I had a dream. In my dream, a man named Frankenstein discovers how to use science to make a dead body come back to life. But although Mr. Victor Frankenstein learned how to create life, he didn't think ahead. He didn't know how to control the thing he created, and it eventually destroyed everything he loved.
Frankenstein was one of the first modern stories to warn people how scientific progress could could turn to disaster if not wisely controlled. But wait, there's a note here about the story. In order to get her story published, Mary Shelley submitted it anonymously. That means she didn't sign her name to it. After 12 years, the story became a sensation. It was only then that Mary Shelley could get it published under her own name. Her book is still immensely popular today. I guess in those days, women weren't supposed to be writing books and stuff, but Mary Shelley didn't pay any attention to that at all. There's our answer. That old book is one of the earliest editions of Frankenstein. It might be worth a lot of money. Let's get back and tell Dorothea right away. Dorothea, good news. Looks like you found a real treasure. That copy of Frankenstein may very well be one of the first copies ever printed.
Good news for Frankenstein, maybe, but not for me. It's been stolen right out from under my nose.
Stolen? How? By whom?
By the Frankenstein monster himself.
Hey, look! Remember it rained just after we left the Phaeton Club? Anyone who came back to the book sale after it rained would leave muddy prints. This footprint must be the thief's. It's the print of a sneaker, a pretty small one, too.
Well, that's one cheeky bloke, eh? Nicked that book right under Officer Bardbrook's nose. Must have been a pretty desperate chap to do that. Pretty fast runner, too. Nipped in here and nipped out just as quick as you please.
Do you have any idea who that was underneath the monster mask?
Sorry, mate. It all happened so fast. It was a kid. That's all I can tell you.
I was waiting here for you two to come back from the library when someone dashed in and grabbed the book. I couldn't tell who they were because they were wearing a hideous mask over their face, a Frankenstein mask. P.C. Bardbrook took off after the thief, but whoever it was, he or she was a terribly fast runner. I bet they got clean away.
We found out that book was authentic, Dorothea. It's probably worth a lot of money.
I guess so, Jennifer. Why else would someone bother to steal it? He or she knew exactly where to find it, too. Snatched it right out of my pile of books.
Really? That's a killer clue, Dorothea. Whoever dashed in and stole the book must have been here earlier and seen where you put it. The thief must have gone somewhere to find out that it really was valuable, got into disguise, and then came back and grabbed the book. He or she knew that you already had dibs on it, so they just stole it right out from in front of you.
Well, let's see. Only 4 people have been here and then left. Griff Johns, Kelly Apgood, Rebecca Locke, and that new girl, Grace White. One of them must be the thief.
What I don't get is why anyone would steal it in the first place. It was just a silly old book.
Not just any old book, Nat. At the British Library, we found out that it was probably an original early edition. That means it could be quite valuable.
Really? And Dorothea spotted it right away. Good for her. That must be why she got so cagey when anyone else wanted to have a look at it. But how on earth did anyone else find out that the book was valuable? The British Library is the only place I can think of where you could find that out for sure.
We have all the facts we need to recover the stolen book. Pick the clues that you think point to who Frankenstein's monster must have been. Right. Now point out the person you think must have stolen the rare book. You've got it. Rebecca Locke was the person behind the Frankenstein mask. We knew that whoever boldly stole the book out from under P.C. Bardbrook's nose knew exactly what he or she was looking for. They grabbed the valuable book right out of Dorothea's pile. Since we knew that only 4 people had the opportunity to see where the book was, leave the Phaeton Club, then come back in disguise to steal it, we were able to use the process of elimination to figure figure out who the best suspect was. When we first met Dorothea at the Phaeton Club, no one knew that the Frankenstein book was valuable, but Dorothea suspected that it might be, and so did someone else. We took off for the British Library and learned that the Frankenstein book was actually one of the first copies ever printed. But someone else had learned that too. Mr. Sneed told us that the books we needed had already been looked at by a young lady. When we got back to the Phaeton Club, Dorothea told us about the theft, and we found a muddy footprint that the thief left behind. The print was made by a small sneaker. We knew that Kelly and Rebecca, at least, were both wearing sneakers today. But when we caught up with Kelly, it turned out that she and Grace both had ironclad alibis. They'd been shopping with Nigel since they left the book sale. We could eliminate Griff Johns too, because he has very big feet and also couldn't have been the young lady that Mr. Sneed mentioned. That leaves only one suspect who had the opportunity to steal the book and also matched up with the clues we'd collected. Rebecca Locke.